Hello and welcome to Unism. Our topic for today's presentation is Universal Basic Income. It is your birthright. Since Andrew Yang popularized Universal Basic Income during his 2020 US presidential campaign, many people have been contributing to the UBI debate. On the con side are the following thoughts. 1. It will encourage people to become lazy. 2. People will stop working. 3. People will spend the money on drugs and alcohol. 4. It will increase taxes. 5. It will be too expensive to finance. Some of these claims have been researched, but so far none of them has been validated. However, increasing taxes and the extent of the expense are still to be determined. On the pro side are the following thoughts. It will reduce poverty. 2. It will increase mental and physical well-being. 3. It will reduce poverty-related crimes. 4. It will reduce stress in our lives. 5. It will give freedom to people who are stuck in life. Some of these thoughts have been proven by research, but irrespective of where you stand on this issue, considering the wave of homelessness in the United States and other parts of the world, you will agree that it is time to do something about the human economic condition. If you work with the homeless, for example, you will notice that some, if not all of them, live in the most miserable, dirty, helpless and hopeless conditions to the extent that you can't help but shed tears for humanity. How did we come to this in the midst of plenty, you might even ask? When we started delivering food to the homeless in Portland, Oregon, I often parked my van in the parking lot of a local business. I did that for several days without any problems because the parking lot was usually empty during the weekend when we delivered the food. Things changed one day when the owner, quote-unquote owner, came out and asked if he could help me. I told him that we were delivering food to the homeless and that this was the only place I could park and reach them with ease. He said something like, "You are helping lazy people and drug addicts, but you cannot park here. You may have also thought that poor people are lazy and that is why they are poor. But have you ever thought about situations in which a normal, hard-working person could lose everything he has due to unemployment, disability, long sickness, or some other life situation?" I believe that human beings are more inclined to improve their lives than to remain in one place, because the natural movement of life is forward. Even when we hesitate and draw back, the forces of unity and fulfillment work to prod us, to push us forward. Thus, in reality, no one in his or her right mind decides to remain unfulfilled. It is in our nature to strive for success. In his article on the rise of the working poor and the non-working rich, this is what Robert Rich wrote. In reality, a large and growing share of the nation's poor work full-time, sometimes 60 or more hours a week, yet still don't earn enough to lift themselves and their families out of poverty. It is also commonly believed, especially among Republicans, that the rich deserve their wealth because they work harder than others. According to some estimates, over 1.6 billion people worldwide live in inadequate housing conditions, and more than 100 million people have no housing at all. And currently, global homelessness is rising at an alarming rate. But you and I can do something to bring awareness to the world for some kind of intervention now. You may not even believe in the idea of a universal basic income, but you can help to promote it so that lawmakers could begin to debate about solutions to the homeless crisis in the world. I believe that we are here to take care of each other because you do not know who will save you when you are drowning. Your God might not be home. The Garden of Eden was the most desirable place on earth. The Creator populated it with families of different races and backgrounds, including the physically challenged, the mentally challenged, the lazy, the wise, the foolish, the strong, the weak, the ambitious, the materialistic, the spiritual, the motivated, and the brilliant. The Creator gave each family a house and a plot of land to farm and advised the families to live in peace, take care of each other, and share the resources of the garden equally. Land, water, plants, and everything underneath the earth belong to all of you, he said, and appointed 13 people to administer the garden. The families lived in peace for many years and prospered, but later the greedy people began to question the rationale for sharing the resources of the garden equally with the weak, the lazy, and the disabled, when it is evident that some of them produce less and others do not produce anything at all. If they cannot produce, or if they can only produce little, they should have little, they argued. In the end, the greedy people won and took control of the garden with everything in it. They sought ways to enrich themselves and introduced property taxes on houses and on the farmlands. Those who could not pay the taxes had their properties taken away from them, and homelessness became part of the garden, with destitute, helpless, and hopeless people on the streets of the garden. By dint of birth into this plane, you are entitled to free land, free water, free air, and a percentage of all the resources of the earth, irrespective of who developed the land or who mined the resources. Universal basic income is your birthright. Please check us out at unison.org for Awakened Living Study, life cycle ceremonies, and human development studies and practices. And subscribe to our channel and receive educational and entertaining weekly videos on the human condition, human development, and human potential. Today's favorite quote is, "By dint of birth into this plane, you are entitled to free land, free water, free air, and to a percentage of all the resources of the earth, irrespective of who developed the land or who mined the resources. Universal basic income is your birthright."